this is really important to me because I know in my GoPod, Nick and some other members of the GoPod are incredible. They're building businesses and they're scaling and they're creating and implementing all these things. And I just said, man, I'm so blessed. I'm so lucky to have you, somebody I look up to. And the way you're building your business, I was like, everyone needs to hear this, right? And so, just to brag on him, man, he's a wealth of information. What he's done in his business is incredible. So I think we're in for a big treat here. So do you want to introduce yourself, who you are, your background, personal life, and your professional life as well?
Sure. Thank you for that humbling introduction there, Pasha. I hope this is going to be a really valuable time that we can all share together, and it's just such a privilege to have the opportunity to share that with the tribe. Yeah, I mean, I had kind of an unusual path. I got a bachelor's degree in ministry, a bachelor's degree in computer science. I had the privilege to be involved in a couple different startups that went from just a handful of people to 100 employees that each are 9-figure entities. And then eventually just felt like I kind of conquered every mountain I could conquer in tech, and saw the kind of burnout culture in technology. And along the way, I kind of built a portfolio of real estate and said, this looks like a fun kind of next business to do. So growing that real estate business, and the last, I guess, probably about 14 months, we have like half a dozen employees. 14 months ago, I think we just hired our 30th employee here this past week, and launched a private equity fund, and basically applying all that stuff that we learned in technology, going from 2 very successful tech startups to real estate. And then, just on a personal note, I'm not a person who comes from, a lot of means. I learned the real estate game through necessity. I was a person who was, homeless when I was 14, and found someone who had a kind of nasty basement where they let their dogs, do the business down there, and other things. I said, hey, if I renovate your basement, can I just live there for free? And here's I think that the optimal deal that you've never give someone is just a no-brainer. Like, I'd be an idiot not to take this offer, right? And well, yeah, I mean, of course. And hey, now I have a place to live for the next couple of years for free. And when I went to college, said, hey, housing is expensive. I just rent a house and rent out rooms. I can live there for free. And eventually built a custom home that I rented out rooms to, and never paid a mortgage on that house. And when I married my wife, she participated in that madness. We had 6 adults and 5 dogs living in that 4-bed house when we got married. House hacking before there was a name for it, and I don't know, so maybe that's where the passion for real estate came from. But and then so married with 4 kids, just an absolutely incredible wife. And kids are 7, 5, 2, and a 9-month-old. So we like to stay busy, and that's probably that's probably what I talk to go-girls about the most is marriage, your relationship with your wife and your kids. These things that move the needle in our life. Maybe that's that ministry degree talking or something like that. But if anyone here caught my talk in San Francisco 6 months ago, you get some tips that hopefully help you step up your game in that area of life in a very tangible way. So we're not going to get into that here, but yeah.
And then where did you start 2 years ago with this real estate game, and where are you now?
Yeah, so I think I have in a lot of ways a really common story. My wife and I, we got married, we had an extra house, we rented it out, we bought another one, bought a couple more the next year, and in June of 2019, we had, 20 or so units or something like that, maybe 80,000 a year in passive income. Now, I had the bag of tools in my van and was leasing the units and everything, but I said, this seems like enough, and I can step back from my career. I was building this real estate portfolio while managing 13 teams of engineers, doing very, very engrossing profession there. I said, maybe I should create some space for myself, and then went to a Tony Robbins seminar. So my retirement lasted about 40 hours, and so we said, we're going to serve investors. And maybe this is something that you've thought about doing in your life. Tony taught me the selfishness of this perspective. I actually had to make up a metaphor to turn people away. I said, if you want to get financial freedom, that's your thing you have to do. Like, I have a lot of kids. I like taking care of my kids, but I don't want to open a daycare. I don't want to help you get to financial freedom. And so for years, while I was building a portfolio on the side, people would say, hey, this is pretty cool, I'd like to get into this. And no, I don't want that. So we decided to serve investors in a big way. So we had probably about 3 million in assets under management 2.5 years ago, or we'll say 3 years ago. We have over $1/3 billion in assets under management today. So again, just using the principles of technology and growing a technology company, where that sort of exponential growth curve is kind of the norm, and if you don't hit that curve, you're out of business, to an industry that doesn't typically embrace that sort of growth model, and doing that through vertical integration. A lot of things that I see are unusual in the industry.
Yeah, and then you have a really interesting story, because there was somebody here 3 years ago that convinced you to start the fund and to create this massive results, right?
Yeah.
Another go-bro helped you out.
So, we just had our exercise reflecting on, what's been an impactful thing for you. And whenever I'm at a conference, I try to just like really connect with, one or maybe a couple, 2, 3 people, and just spend an embarrassing amount of time with them. Just like, hey, what are you doing next? You want to get some breakfast tomorrow? What are you doing tomorrow afternoon? Kind of like a camp girlfriend or something like that. And I remember, I met Christian back there, and he was, kind of shaking me by the shoulders. He was like, you're doing all this work for investors in joint venture opportunities and with third-party management, and we had like 25 deals in flight at that moment. And he's like, I don't know how you're staying sane, and that's just through really good tools and systems and processes from that tech background. But he said, you really need to start a private equity fund. Like, you are completely insane if you don't have a private equity fund. Just wrap your brain around this for a moment. This is a key piece. I said, I don't want to do private equity. I don't like the image of that. I don't like the fee-based model. I don't like the value extraction of that industry, so I'm doing my own thing. And Christian says, well, why don't you just change private equity? We all need someone in our life. Someone that just believes in us. Like, that's a completely absurd thing to say, right? We just need someone that believes in us. And just says, if you don't like the game, change the game. You can be the change that you're looking for. That's exactly what we did. So we have no fees in our fund. We get no profit until our investors get a full return of capital. 5% of all of our profit goes to charity, 5% goes to our staff and profit share. We just started with a blank sheet of paper and said, what if society was exactly what we want it to be? What if capitalism was exactly the way we want it to be? What would that look like? Tactically, tangibly, and then let's make that thing. And it has not been difficult to raise capital for that thing.
Yeah, I mean, to be challenged is really kind of what stands out. Mm-hmm. To have a conversation, to challenge your peers, really stands out. And speaking of challenge, can we put up the org chart, please? Because you and your badass wife also work together, right?
Yes.
And so,
yeah. Well, we'll get that up here at some point. So if you've known me for any amount of time, I'll probably mention my wife, who is a fucking lion, and I have to wake up every day and conquer that woman. I have to earn my right to be her husband. And that's where the 4 kids come from. So this is our org chart. So my wife has that vertical on the right, I'm the vertical on the left. So I'm the CEO of the organization. She's responsible for basically all of our administrative vertical there. So finance, accounting, marketing, that sort of thing. Manages all of our professional service. A lot of guys will ask, how do you spend 24 hours a day with your wife and not just murder each other? Or investors on investor calls. You'll jump into whenever you're selling the thing you have to sell, which probably everyone in this room does that thing. Like, no one cares about the thing. They care about the you. Can they trust you, or are you gonna, like I said, the thing that moves the needle for most people is their relationship with their spouse, their relationship with their kids. And so I'll just say, what can I talk about that's going to provide you with the most amount of value? The number one question most people will say is, this is just like an act, right? Like, you don't actually love your wife this much. Your wife isn't actually in the business this much. You aren't actually together 24 hours a day. She's actually dialed in right now. She's actually listening to this talk live. It's actually broadcasting in my house, so all 4 of my kids can hear what daddy does and what he's doing when he's not with them. I believe in the integrated life. This is our org chart. You have to have separate verticals. You have to have separate domains that you control. And I think that having lanes that you stay in with your significant other, with any aspects of your organization, is beyond critical. If anyone works in an organization that have two bosses, like, that's just the worst, you know. So we can't have members of our team that wonder who's the boss in this particular situation. Happy to dive into any real part of this, but you know, it's a pretty typical.
What I think is really important that you and I have talked about is you spend a lot of time creating culture.
Yes.
Because the way you have been able to grow, you really have to implement and delegate in culture. So can we talk about the culture and what you do to go over and beyond for the culture of the company?
Absolutely. So in tech, there's a saying that culture eats strategy for breakfast. So who cares if you have a good idea? Who cares if you have an idea is worthless without some kind of execution behind that. And the thing that drives that execution, I think, is culture. And by being a culture-first organization, we get a lot of flexibility in the people that we can hire and retain. So we find people that are ultimately a good fit for culture. Literally no, well, I shouldn't say that. At this point, we have a couple people that they have, almost no one in my organization has any background whatsoever in real estate. It's kind of a rough state of affairs, but I observed there to be such a low set of expectations for customer service in the real estate industry that anytime we hired someone with experience, it was almost impossible to bring their expectation up to our standard, which is the best in the business. We want to be the Chick-fil-A of real estate. You go to Chick-fil-A and you're like, how the hell are they getting these kids to say, you know, it's my pleasure? You just hire people for a good culture. Those people who know how to make a chicken sandwich when they hire them, they hired for culture and they train for culture. We pour into our team. We do retreats. We don't just buy them lunch. We'll have lunch and we'll have it catered by a personal chef. This isn't just some junk from next door. We find out what are their favorite foods. We celebrate their birthdays. We give them the day off. We do mindset and teaching. We actually took our entire team to a Tony Robbins Business Mastery 2 weeks ago, which is completely insane because Tony says, hey, quit your job and start your own business and stuff. But I think if I have an entire team of people who are behaving like owners and not operators, we're going to be extraordinarily successful. I'm not a big fan of boundaries if you haven't figured that out by now. So I'm happy to meet anytime one-on-one to do personal coaching with my people. Like, what's the biggest thing that's holding you back in your life? Oh, my relationship with my significant other is at a tough point. Like, okay, let's talk about that. If you don't want to talk about that, you certainly don't have to. But like, I'm here to serve and support you. And I think if you lean on that, most people, they really give lip service to culture. And when they get together in a room like this, they say, how can I get the highest quality employee for the lowest possible cost? And they really expose the truth of the matter. Last night they talked about compressors and expanders. And compressors are trying to squeeze every drop of productivity they can out of people without letting them rise up and be greater. And expanders, they just say, let's make our people the most amazing people they can possibly be, and the right things are going to happen. So just as I just said a lot of abstract things. Let's make this incredibly concrete. So let's look at, scroll to the right a tiny bit there.
And do you want to also talk about your team happiness KPIs? Because I thought that was fascinating, so maybe we could talk about that a little bit.
If you scroll right just a tiny bit there, we've got Tyler. So he's our construction director. He managed a coffee shop, and I went to the coffee shop one time, had the most amazing cup of coffee in the place. Everyone there was chipper, was excited to serve me. There's a line of cars out into the road, and I'm like, I need to figure out who's running this coffee shop. And the manager, Tyler, he took my order and brought me the cup of coffee, and I started going to that place every single day to get to know this man. It was near where I worked. It wasn't a big detour. And after getting coffee from him for a few months, like, that workforce was always excited to be there. Clearly, this person could create amazing culture. I didn't offer him a job. I said, Tyler, I really want you to work for me, and I think it's an opportunity that's going to change your life. So here's my information. Please let me know when the time is right for you. I'm not going anywhere. I just want to offer you value. And he just kind of, no, what are you talking about? You're crazy. And I kept going back every single morning. And a couple months later, it was the right time for that conversation. And he started out leasing our units. I like to underemploy people and see how they do when they're in the trenches. He knocked it out of the park. I gave him our biggest, most important part of the building. He knocked it out of the park. And now he has more, direct reports really than anyone else in the company. And he's doing construction management. He doesn't have any background in construction management, but he knows how to run a team. He knows how to create culture. Everything else is going to take care of itself if you hire amazing people and empower them to hire amazing people. I'm going to say that a second time. If you hire amazing people who know how to hire amazing people, like, I've heard the expression, business would be great if it wasn't for employees and customers. Like you're really lost if that's your premise, right? You don't have to have employees, you get to have employees. You get the privilege to lead, you get the privilege to serve, you get the privilege to expand people, to grow, and to speak to that, quantitatively. So again, make this hyper concrete. So we've got a set of KPIs that we go through, key performance indicators every Monday. We believe in safety culture. So the only way you can ever get in trouble in my organization is to fail to report a problem. The only way you can ever get in trouble is to fail to report a problem. Reporting a problem, you can never be the messenger that gets shot. So we put up all of our key performance indicators. How's the leasing team doing? How's the maintenance team doing? My only dial on that dashboard, my only key performance indicator is my team's happiness. Every member of our company has to submit an anonymous survey on a scale of 1 to 10. What's your energy level? How happy are you? And how valued do you feel in our organization? So like we did our retreat, our Tony Robbins Business Mastery, like did we accidentally just convince everyone to quit our company? Did people feel ragged because I just ran them through an 80-hour gauntlet that wrapped up at midnight last night, and they're reporting in at their KPIs, 8 hours later, and we had, it was like all 10s, which has never happened before. Like people were just jacked to be there. So you have that quantitative data. You can't just say we're a culture organization and then not measure it, and it's not rocket science. Just ask your people, do you want to be here? Are you excited to be here? Are you looking for some other place to go? This is not mysterious. Just ask your people every week, constantly, am I supporting you? Do you feel valued? And tell me, give me anonymous feedback. I'm here to listen and improve and grow. But it's a rare thing. In fact, I've never seen an organization that does that. I just kind of made that up, and it works very well.
I think a really big key takeaway here is that successful entrepreneurs are always looking for good talent. I think that's a quality that we all have to introduce to ourselves, is that we're always on the lookout. If you are a good employee here, you will probably be a good employee here.
Yes.
To always be on the lookout for those employees who you can plug and play into your business. And then talk about how much time you spend working on the business and then in the business.
Yeah, so we probably spend, my wife and I, we probably spend about 25% of our time receiving coaching. So we've got multiple coaches, we're in multiple masterminds. That sounds like kind of a crazy number, but I think when you're leading, when you've got $3 billion in assets behind you, if you can get just a 1% incremental improvement, that is a crazy amount of improvement right there. So whatever we can do to continuously, sharpen the saw, as Abraham Lincoln would say. If I had to cut down a tree, I don't know what time this word, but it's been 9 hours sharpening the saw, 1 hour cutting down the tree. So about 25% of our time just doing what I'm doing right now. Then we spend probably another, probably 25 to 50% of our time just teaching, coaching, mentoring our people. That's the bulk of what we do. So if a new task comes in and it needs to be done, like it's short-sighted of me to just take that on and to do that myself. I really need to teach someone on my team to do it. I need to lead and teach them. For example, our tax person late last night said, we need you to get 30 cost setting reports to us like in 40 hours or something. So I could just take a break from the conference, obviously, and go knock out that work myself. And said I recorded a Loom video, sent it to a member of my team who doesn't even know what cost segregation is, but is a skilled player, is a talented player, and said, I need you to reproduce this 30 times, and then please let me know, what questions you have. Call me on my cell phone. I'm gonna be tied up. But that little move, going from working in your business to working on your business. Now I've got a cost segregation expert in my company, and it sounds like an easy tip of, oh yeah, just make a Loom video of it and tell your employee to do it. Well, first you have to have really skilled people, really talented people who know how to take instructions in kind of an abstract way to implement that, and that's a rare thing to find. And then you have to actually flex that muscle, because it's probably going to be harder work for me to teach someone to do this than to just go do the work myself. But it's something you have to do daily. You have to catch yourself to say, I can't be the one that does this work. I have to train someone else. I have to show someone else. I have to show them why it's valuable. Most people, I think most entrepreneurs, they think they need to tell people where to stand and what to do. Where to stand and what to do. What we really need to teach our people is why they're there. And they will probably figure out where to stand and what to do on their own. if we just do that. So probably about 50% of my time is teaching and coaching other people, and then about 25% of my time just doing execution. And the biggest thing that's really on my plate right now is acquisitions, which, you know, those are big financial decisions. That's a tempting thing to keep on my plate. We recently hired someone, we promoted someone from within our company. We have never had an outside hire for like a high-level position in our company, and I think it's really critical that culture is really valuable. At the end of the day, we were able to matriculate someone through our company that knows the properties because they've walked the properties, leased the properties, and now they're making outbound calls to do acquisitions. So that's the thing I really need to get out there right now.
And then talk to the entrepreneurs in here who are having the question of when do I remove myself, how do I trust somebody, how do I delegate and put the hire? What do you have to go through? Because you have a big org chart here for a real estate private equity firm. So
we do, yeah. So we funnel, so in tech, it's very common to hit a cash flow neutral position, and you're trading like a multiple of revenue, which is not great culture. In real estate, that's really uncommon. I would say it tends to be very fee driven. You tend to make your money on the front end of the deal in the private equity space. And what we do is we delay that gratification. That gives us the bandwidth to hire people. So we make sure we keep a year's worth of burn. So burn rate, that's a tech concept. How much does it cost every month to run my organization, to make payroll? We make sure we have that in the bank to last a year. And then we just hire as many people as we can possibly hire up to that budget, basically. So that's how I've done that from like a macro level, essentially, and then from a micro level, which I think is maybe more what you're getting at. Anytime I do something more than a handful of times, I just ask myself, is someone on my team able to take this off my plate? Anytime you get an email in your inbox, this is an easy opportunity to hand off. And I forward this email to someone on my team to take care of, and then I can just never get that email again. So I think that's actually a really easy thing to do. The assumption is you should never get any emails. You should get communication from your team when things escalate, but you should not be getting to-dos that just kind of materialize in the form of an email inbox. That's a really ruthless kind of tactic that I use, and there's multiple people that are in my email inbox at all times that are trying to pull those emails out of my inbox so they don't even have to enter my consciousness to begin with.
Got it. I had a mentor once tell me that, Pasha, do not be naive. There's about 8 billion people on this planet. They could definitely do every job you're doing better than you. So hire quicker. And so, because to scale, you have to learn how to trust and how to delegate and build that culture that you know they're going to succeed. And that's on us.
Yes, sir.
So then, with all of your time, with everything you have going on, you mentioned one thing about being ruthless about your time blocking.
Yeah.
Which I think is really important. Can we talk about that?
Sure. So it's really critical to block your time, to set an intention with how your time is going to be spent. Pretty much all of my time is blocked, is accounted for, which when I first left the W2 world, I left for freedom. I wanted to be able to do whatever I wanted. I was sick and tired of having meetings on my calendar and my time being owned by someone else. And the truth is, if you are living that type of life, you probably don't have a lot of freedom because you don't have structure around the escalations that pop up in your day-to-day life. On a day-to-day basis, I try really hard to lean into my team in the mornings and have focused work. In the afternoons when I reserve time for my meetings, very aggressively time box everything. I teach people that my time is extraordinarily valuable. If you want to talk to me, you really do need to block a time on my calendar. There's a set time. You show up. If you don't show up, then I'm really sorry. You've not honored my time, and so I'm not able to honor your time. And then in my personal life, my time is accounted for. I'm very much the leader in our business. My wife is very much the leader in our domestic life. And so she'll go block, 15 vacations in a year, and she'll ask for my input on what I would like to see happen. But ultimately, I have a duty to show up and perform for my family. I know that all of my needs are going to be met as long as I respect those time blocks that have been allocated for those things. It takes away a lot of the mental gymnastics you need to do of, man, you take care of this thing, I need to take care of this thing. No. I need to just follow my calendar. And as new things come in, there needs to be a block on the calendar for that. And if you can't, if your schedule's full and you can't have a block for it, then you need more people on your team that can handle those things. And the calculus is truly that simple. You might be thinking in your head, no, Nick doesn't understand how busy I am. I'm a pretty busy guy. There's a few things on my plate. I've just found a really ruthless, pragmatic way to deal with it. Something comes in and there's not space on the calendar. It can't be done. Like it can't be done. Someone else has to do it, or something else has to be displaced, and that's all there is to it.
And it sounds like you value your time. Because what you're trying to create, you have to value your time. You have to be able to say no to other things that are not as valuable as your time. And if you find yourself too busy, that is the time to start thinking, can somebody else do this for me?
Every single person in this room at some point, you have shaken your fist at God, and you have said, God, I need more time. And God says, no! I need more of you. Elon Musk has just as many minutes in a day as I do, and he manages to get more done with it than I do. That's because I'm not very good at managing my time in comparison. That's all there is to it.
So on to that note, to do what you're doing, talk about all the support and help and staff that you have in your personal life and not just your business.
Yeah. So people will often ask, like, it seems like you have it all, it seems like you can do it all, like, and it's not stressing me out, like what, is it just an act or something like that? No, we just have an embarrassing amount of help. Just a truly embarrassing amount of help. People that believe in our cause as a family or as a business and are eager to help out. And this is an area where my wife certainly led the charge. So I was mowing my own lawn just a few years ago. It's kind of crazy, but and I can't make this up. So 2 weeks ago, when was our prep call? It was
about like 3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
My maintenance team was hauling that lawnmower out of my garage because all these years I've kept that lawnmower in my garage, feeling like maybe I'd lose my man card or something like that if I didn't have that lawnmower in my garage. And finally one day my wife said, Nick, this is fucking ridiculous. This is not a thing, right? We have people who manage the lawn and snow. We have a personal chef, and we didn't go to service. We saw a restaurant went out of business, and we reached out to that chef and said, we know you have amazing food. Would you like some consistent work and prepare food for us every single day, prepare food for our staff, prepare food for our events? Most of the people that we bring into our lives, we don't put up an ad on Indeed. We just find really talented people in our community that we want to have closer to us in our life. We just bought a commercial building trying to help him reinvigorate his restaurant and get that restarted. We have a full-time nanny in addition to having all of our kids in school. And in fact, a big goal I set for myself 3 years ago was I wanted to build a school because I really wanted an exceptional experience for my children that I wanted to have a lot of influence over. I didn't really want to homeschool my kids. I thought I might kill myself if I was taking on that burden. I have so much respect for the people who are able to do that. So we using our real estate expertise, found a local scrappy startup school and helped them move into a beautiful new facility, found a 40,000 square foot abandoned office building, renovated into a school. It might sound a little crazy, but it will save you a great deal of time if you build a school. Do you think those people are eager to serve us? Do you think if our kids need to get picked up a little bit late one day, that's okay? Like, we've all probably got that call from daycare or from school, like, hey, your kid's here late. Our kids are welcome to stay there 24/7 because we built a school. If you build systems and processes, just let your imagination run wild. Be delusional. What would a perfect life look like for you? My perfect life is kind of like being on a cruise boat. Anyone here ever go on a cruise? Like you show up and things are just kind of taken care of, right? And if things aren't taken care of, it's a problem. So I don't know what I'm going to eat for dinner. I don't know how I'm even going to get home. Am I going to drive a car? Which car am I going to drive? Is someone going to drive me? Very commonly, like, at the end of the day, my wife will send me an itinerary for our evening because that's my job to show up and to report to her. And okay, we've got 3 kids that are in swimming lessons.
As every married man. Yeah.
That's right. Own it, guys. Own it. And if you do that, you will live in beautiful harmony with your spouse. Don't fight it. When we first got married, I didn't let her redecorate. It's just so short-sighted. We actually have a person that redecorates our house every season. I don't even know her name. All I know is I come home and every now and then, like, the Christmas decorations have been put up. Every single thing in our life, we are asking ourselves, hey, this is the 3rd time we put up a Christmas tree. Can't we hire someone to do that? Someone's going to be Santa Claus next year. We found this amazing person, and we said, hey, if we gave you like $1,000 and an unlimited budget to buy the most beautiful gifts for every person we care about in their lives, and it's going to be a lot of people, is that something that would excite you? She's like, hell yeah, we're going to pay her like $5 an hour, and it's going to be like the most magical moment of her life.
I think what I'm hearing, the most important thing here is, as the more successful you get, you are literally buying time.
That's right.
You're buying time.
Constantly.
And I think what's really important is that the more quality time that you have as entrepreneurs to focus back on the things that are important to you is when you're going to keep scaling your life, your business, and everything. And so if you are on that edge of should I hire, should I not hire because you can never replace the time that you have.
100%.
Yeah, thanks.
Most of the time we spend with our wife, with our kids, it's low quality time. If we're really brutally honest with ourselves about it, you're watching your kids, but you're really doing the dishes. That's not acceptable. You are failing your family by not leveraging that. You can do it in your business. Everyone in this room can do it in your business. Have you asked your wife, what do you need? What leverage do you need in your life? There's a GoPro here, they run a very successful outsourcing firm, and I was talking to him a couple years ago, and he's talking about how fragile his wife was. And I said, well, who have you hired lately for your business? Oh, like 15 people. Who have you hired lately for your wife? Oh, I didn't even know that was a thing. Do you think your wife might have a little more energy left for you at the end of the day if she hasn't had to cook dinner, hasn't had to do dishes, just got to show up and be fully present with you and your kids? I think she might.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful. And then really quickly before we go to the Q&A, do you have any mistakes that you wish you could have avoided or anything that you can go back and redo?
I wish I would have hired faster. I mean, we've grown very quickly, but in the real estate business in particular, there's this fascination with third-party services. So it's almost like the goal, you brag about how you're a private equity firm and you only have one employee and you have third-party property management and third-party maintenance and third-party lawn and third-party snow, and you don't even know who their names are, and you're working the 4-hour work week. There's very few people in my life that I admire that are working a 4-hour work week. Elon Musk is not working a 4-hour work week. And I think that it's a little crazy. Imagine Walmart outsourcing their management. How crazy would that be? Like, if you have a company, own it and run it. And so, we really waited too long to hire some of our services in-house, and we were just kind of nervous. We tried to be very financially conservative, but if we had hired more people faster, we would be in just a completely different place today as a result of that.
Yeah, every business owner that I ever talked to, and even in my own personal life, that is the number one thing that I wish I could have redone, is hire faster, buy myself more time to have more quality problems.
I think people do the math wrong. They say, oh, if I hire this person, I can't afford it because of this financial reason. Well, why would you ever hire someone that's not a positive ROI hire, right? And then let's say 36 guys, so we do a check-in with every hire, 36 to 90 days, and we're checking with them, making sure they're ecstatic to be here, making sure they're feeling supported. And we would check in with ourselves financially, are we profitable on this hire? And if we're not profitable on that hire, we got to fix that.
Yep.
So it's not like, I've got, only $100K of spare money to spend on payroll, and I got to put food on the table. Like, if you can't hire someone profitably, well, then you need to re-examine your whole business model, because you may be buying yourself or building yourself a really awful job. So just do the math to say, who can I hire that's going to generate profit for our company, it's going to reduce expenses for our company, and all of a sudden, like, a switch flips and says, man, I got to hire as many people as I can, and I need to learn how to create an incredible culture, a raving fan culture, where these people are just excited to bring all their friends, and everyone wants to work here, and it just creates this positive feedback loop, which I've successfully been able to do twice now in tech and now once in real estate.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I had a coach once tell me that a good benchmark is that if you hire an employee, they should at least be bringing 2.5 or 3x their salary, and that's how I look at it. And so, short-term pain, maybe more monetary money out of your pocket, you're gonna have a lot more long-term gain. So play the long game when it comes to this. Thank you, Nick. I really appreciate it. We'll open up to Q&A if anyone has a question.
Thank you, Nick. All right. Hey, Carl. No, that's perfect. Thank you, Nick. Great content. Hey, could you review, you talk fast, KPIs? Could you touch on that again? What are the KPIs you have, your culture with your team?
Absolutely.
I'd love to hear that again. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a way we could send out a freebie to everyone or something, but
Yeah, can we post it in the app?
I can figure out a way to do that.
We got the documents, we can post it, and then can we post your org chart in the app?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm open book, I'm happy to share all that, but yeah,
That works.
so vacancy rate, how many leases did we get, how many So the critical thing from technology, by the way, you can manage any workflow with two KPIs, and that's work in queue and velocity, or the amount of work that you removed from that queue in the last iteration of work. So to make that really simple, I've got 100 maintenance tickets, and in the last week I closed 93 maintenance tickets. That's pretty good velocity compared to queue depth. Again, that might have gotten just a tiny bit technical. This is how work is managed in technology. This is not how work is managed in real estate, and yet you can manage, okay, leasing, cleaning turnovers, unit renovations, and turn times. All these things can be managed with those two key performance indicators, and that's all we do. We just track those two KPIs for every aspect of our company.
It's amazing. You can quite literally measure everything in your business, so you can understand how you're doing from last year to this year. Paul?
Hey guys, Paul Kazansky, Washington DC. Love the interview, amazing story. If you talk to almost any business owner, whether it's real estate, restaurateurs, tech guys, almost everyone will tell you the hardest part is raising capital, right? You mentioned you went from 3 million to 300 in 3 years of assets under management. Can you just speak to, and you said it's not hard for you to raise capital. Can you just share what is it about raising capital that's not hard for you, especially the first 18 months of your journey?
Paul, do you mind if I touch you? Do I have your permission to touch you?
Sure.
Raising capital has nothing to do with a spreadsheet. Paul, I will never give up on you. I will never give up on you. Do you feel me?
Yep.
You fucking feel me right now. I know what this money means to you. I know what it means to your wife, to your kids. I know how much you've sacrificed to make this money. This is a sacred right that you would entrust this to me. And I will never give up. Ever. Do you feel me?
Yep.
Thank you. That's all anyone needs to feel.
Wow.
Next question.
Yeah, I'm curious about your hiring process. My wife and I, we battle all the time with EOS, right? We have all these core values, and she's so bent on having, like, everybody that comes in, that interviews, needs to be, client-centric, inspired, status quo. And so we're losing people. I guess the question is, can you just walk us again through the hiring process? Use HR, or what happens in that process?
Yeah, so the hiring process is not quite as intense as the demonstration I just gave you. That's day two. But it is an aggressive onboarding process from a cultural perspective. People don't leave you because they're going to get a little bit more money from someone else. People leave you because they hate their job. I'm really sorry to tell you that. And I know there's a lot of people in this room who are struggling with retention. We are not struggling with retention because no one in our organization is there just to collect a paycheck. We've had people leave our organization. Their exit interview was, I felt like I was being brainwashed. I felt like I had to be too happy, or I had to be happy all the time. Those are people who are not a good fit for our culture. As part of the hiring process, we do shadowing. So we have them sign an NDA and a non-disparage agreement, and then we have them just walk a mile in our shoes, walk a day. They'll even shadow me, the CEO, so they may not even understand what's going on in these meetings. These are high-level meetings, but they get the culture in a heartbeat, and they're going to say, well, whatever's needed, yeah. And they're either going to get the impression that this is a cult or this is a really special place, and I feel like an intrinsic pull. One of the greatest gifts that I've ever been given. One of my mentors said, God made you a being of pure energy and made you absolutely perfect, and it is an affront to God to hide that light that He put inside you. And I think as employers, if you're in this room, you're a little bit crazy, aren't you? You're a little bit different from most people out there. That's probably not a normal investor call to you, just the whole. Don't be a normal employer, and you will not struggle to retain your people. But if you're just trying to offer market comp and benefits and whatever, then people are going to come and go. They're going to hate their job, just like they hated their last job, just like they hated the next job. But they're going to stay because they know that I mean, this is gonna sound crazy, but I actually did have that conversation with our staff at the Business Mastery Retreat. I got pretty intense with them, and they love it. They know that I would take a bullet for every single one of them. They have that deep in their heart. And the idea of leaving our organization would be like getting a divorce to them.
Yeah. Care very deeply about your employees, and it will build loyalty.
Yes.
Yeah. We got time for one more question.
I feel like I got the jackpot on this one. I was 12 feet away, and I definitely felt you, for sure. This has to do with just an analytics, just I really like the way you explained everything. Specifically for hiring, when you're looking at each individual hiring, I'm sure like it probably is different per rung in the ladder, like how far up they are. Do you have an ROI metric for how long it's going to require until you get the money back that you initially invested, or like there has to be some type of metric that you're using for the people that you hire for when you're going to get the money back, and then also you get 2x or 3x? Is that correct or not at all?
Yeah, so if you can't feel it when you hire someone, you probably feel it in a good way. Sometimes you feel it in a bad way, but if you can't feel it in a good way, you probably did not successfully hire. If like even being multiple levels removed on the org chart, I can feel it when we have a good hire, when we have a bad hire, because I'm in touch with that culture. But that's a feeling, and we have our KPI metrics. So we have 3 leasing agents. We hire another leasing agent. We just did that, and our leases per week and economic vacancy and stuff. Those metrics should be reflective of that additional manpower that we bring to task. The challenge is, I find in most organizations, it truly takes like 6 months for someone to really get up to speed to see their value. In any organization, unless you're dropping someone into an extraordinarily low skill, work stream, it takes a while. So we check in at 30, 60, 90 days. We're constantly asking people, do you feel supported? Do you feel empowered in your mission? And they either get it or they don't. And if they don't, we give them an exit, and we give them an easy exit. We'll pay them to leave. We'll say, would you like a month's salary, 2 months salary to leave? And if they say yes, we are so glad we're dodging that bullet to get that person out of our organization now. But yeah, having key performance indicators, just queue depth and velocity, you'd expect that depth to go down and the velocity to go up. You asked a very sophisticated question, which I really appreciate, but what we do in our business is not complicated. If it is, it's only because we have made it so. There's an obsession with complexity, I think, especially in the private equity industry, because there's a lot of obfuscation. There's kind of the Wizard of Oz effect or something like that. Like, you're going to give me your money. I'm going to work my heart out to get that money back to you with a return. It's no more complicated than that. If I hire a leasing agent, you're going to show up and represent our brand, and you're going to get some leases, and it's no more complicated than that. And if I don't see you showing up, that's a problem, and I can feel that. And if you're not getting leases, that's a problem, and I can measure that. And like, everyone in your organization should probably have like 2 KPIs.
And then just to add to that really quickly before we wrap it up, is that as a business owner, you're going to know who's going to succeed, and you're going to know who's not going to succeed, and to cut that cord quicker. And it's going to save you a lot of break.
That's what people miss.
Yeah. So if everyone could give a...
You can do
one
one
more.
more.
Yeah, one more.